As far as the back as I can remember, my father was always very involved in the shul. After he was Gabbai, he became ritual chairman. After he became ritual chairman, he became vice president and president of the shul. Not that I'm asking for any of those things. It was something that had an impact on me, and that when I grew up, I wanted to be able to do the same thing that he was able to do in his shul. So, no matter what age, when I was in junior high school, and college, I always wanted to be heavily involved, whatever I was a part of, whether it was a minyan or the community. I was Gabbai in junior high school, and in college. Always wanted to be involved and do as much as I possibly could to help the community.
Wherever we've been, whether it was Woodmere, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, he's always taken a very active involvement in the shul, whether it be laning, davening, learning, and so that was something that was very important to us as well.
One of the things when coming to the 5 towns, growing up in a smaller community, I was worried that being in a much larger Jewish community, that it would be much harder for me to get involved in the community. So I really wanted a shul. One shul where I would daven during the week and also be able to be comfortable davening there on Shabbos. So I think it came from 2 sides and 2 very different things that I was looking for. From a weekday standpoint, I really wanted a shul where it's all business. I can walk into the shul, minyan starts at a certain time, minyan's over by a certain time, I can go off and go to work. And then from the other side, from a Shabbos standpoint, Shabbos I'm a little more relaxed. I want to be able to feel like I'm part of a community with this other people my age, a place where my kids are comfortable, they can go to groups in the morning, somewhere I can go and sit next to people, not talking shul, of course, not talking shul. So when we were married about 10.5 years ago, we originally moved to Woodmere. We lived in an apartment building there, and we were looking for a shul to daven at. And it was very important for me to have a relationship with the rabbi in the shul. So I had a rule that when we were checking out a shul, if we walked into the shul for the first time, that the rabbi had to come up to us and introduce himself and welcome us to the community. So we've done this with a bunch of shuls in the area, and we've been married probably about 6 months at the time, and we decided to walk all the way to Young Israel to Lawrence-Cedarhurst, which was at the time pretty far from our apartment, about a little bit over a mile walk. And we walked into the shul, and there was a man standing by the door of the shul, tall, beard, wearing a tallis, and he came up to us and said, "Hi, I'm Moshe Teitelbaum." Now I'd gone to Hank, I had already Teitelbaum for 3 years in high school. So Suri came up to me and said, "Oh, it's very nice." Somebody introduced themselves as soon as we walked into the building. It's not to be able to sit there in the shul where Teitelbaum is talking and not sit there worrying like I did in high school that he's going to call on you in a moment to make sure that you're paying attention to what he's saying.
What we like about Young Israel of Lawrence-Cedarhurst is that it's a place of all peoples, of all ages, where we can come together on a Shabbos or on a holiday or for some activity where our kids feel at home and they have friends from school and outside of school, from schools across the spectrum, and they can feel comfortable in who they are.
I was very happy when I came here for the first time that there were a lot of young people around our age, even younger than us, and a lot of kids in the shul. As soon as our kids came to the shul, the first Shabbos, they ran down straight to groups. They loved groups. They stayed in groups.
I love to go to shul because I love groups.
Being part of a shul is more than just showing up to shul during the week for minyan or on Shabbos. It's really about being part of a community. And what's great about Young Israel of Lawrence-Cedarhurst is that it's such a large institution in that it offers lots of different opportunities for people of all ages in lots of different environments. From a hashkafa perspective, I think that this was a shul that we felt most at ease with and comfortable, and our kids as well.
As soon as I got here, it was very easy to get very heavily involved. We only moved to the community 3 years ago, but even after being here only a year, when people in the shul saw that I wanted to become involved, they very quickly came up to me and said, do you want to become one of the Gabbayim of the shul? And I jumped at the opportunity to become a Gabbai.
He was really excited. It's really what he aspired to. He loved the opportunity to lane and to daven, and now to have an opportunity to be a Gabbai in the main shul and work with people in the ritual committee and get the opportunity to stand up on the beam all the time and have his kids see him interact with the shul in the way that he saw his father interact with the shul as well.
I guess I didn't do a bad job because they wanted to pass me a second time. Or nobody else really wanted to do it. When I grew up, my father was an example to me, and I saw what he did being involved in the shul. It's important for me to have my kids be able to come with me to shul. The only way I can bring my kids to shul is to have a shul that is kid-centric and does have places for kids to be on Shabbos morning or during the week.
With the recent infusion of lots of youth energy, even with the addition of the assistant rabbi, Rabbi Trump, to the shul as an institution, I think that it represents a commitment and dedication of the board and the shul as a whole to the development of the next generation and passing the baton on to younger people to allow them an opportunity to step into larger roles within such a large institution. And I'm happy that my kids get to see certainly my husband involved, in the main shul as a gabbai, and certainly to the extent that I can as well be involved. They should learn from the examples that we are in the same way that we've learned from the examples that our parents were.
There's a lot of kid-centric activities in the shul, whether it's on days when kids have days off from school, there's usually programming in the shul, Shabbos with the groups, Purim Carnival, a lot of the things the shul do, for me, the most important thing to me are my kids. So our kids love dressing up for the last 3 or 4 years. Months in advance, they're already telling me what they want to be for Purim. So the fact that they're dressing up and going to shul late at night is exciting. And the fact that they're able to then have this, what's been over the last few years, a big event at the shul after the Megillah reading, they get very excited about it. They're able to show off their costumes to all the other kids in the shul.
I get excited that my kids are happy to go learn on Shabbos night after they've been in shul twice or 3 times already, and there are other kids who are there with them, and they come home with prizes. And my little one, he comes home crying if he doesn't get a prize, and everybody knows and laughs about it. But there's always that one question that he can get right, what is this week's Parsha? And he comes prepared every single Saturday night, ready to answer that question. Recognition is certainly, something that is deserving, but only being here 3 years, there are lots of people who are in the community that certainly could have, been honored ahead of us. And wasn't something that we felt comfortable with, especially since I'm due right around the time of the dinner. And so ultimately, due to some pressure and hand twisting, they spoke to the weak link amongst us, and he caved in. So here we are. But in all seriousness, we're very appreciative of the recognition that the shul has certainly seeking to bestow upon us as new and young members in the shul.
Mazel tov, 7.